I tell you, even during the holiday seasons, wrestling does nothing but continue to impress me and fill me with joy and absolute fun splendor. And tonight, well, technically yesterday, was no different, but I digress. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special but simple reignited edition of AEW Spark. I am, of course, the simple man. My name is Noah Foster, and welcome to the forum where I discuss, usually with others, but sometimes just myself, all things, all elite wrestling. From dark to dynamite to storylines to just random thoughts and just takeaways and thinking about the future. It's all things AEW with a little bit of impact now too, considering what might be happening rather like later or soon. But I digress. Let's go ahead and talk about everything. With as always on this forum, when it comes to AEW Spark, I like to shed some light on Dark. Over these last couple of weeks, including yesterday and last week, we've had some impressive debuts and some awesome matches too. As Leela Base continues her hot streak, beating Skylar Moore, we also had debuts of teams, big, powerful bruisers, it seems, in Bear Country. Anna Jay, Ty Conti, they continue their hot streaks in singles. They're just as effective as single stars as they are a tag team. I hope to see more of them as a tag team, though, if I'm personally honest with you. Danny Limelight, he tried to take on the Machine. Didn't work out so well, but he brought a very tough fight against one Matt Seidel. It was probably one of my favorite matches of last week's Dark. And then I look at, of course, the other ones there. Kylan King, keep on killing it, King. Love your style. She had a great match with the women's champion Hikaru Shida last week until Abaddon made her way afterwards to send one last statement to the champ. Yeah, she's definitely in the head of Hikaru Shida. The Acclaim continues to try to raise their game and to make you remember their name with all their stuff and blah, blah, blah. And overall, I will say they really are becoming very impressive as a duo. Of course, Ivelisse Diamante, they still own women's tag team wrestling on Dark, it seems, and they lead by example. Very interesting how Freya Slate's really, Freya the Slayer, excuse me, really brought the fight to Ty Conji, and Ty literally using a submission-based game to basically incapacitate her opponent. I thought it was a very unique victory. And then, of course, this week, we've had a number of incredible matches, but I must say, I'm glad to see Alex Gracia finally making waves, as she did beat Kylan King. It leads me to believe that AEW sees big time potential in both Alex Garza and Kylan King, but we'll have to wait and see. I can talk about Dark on and on. Maybe I'll do like a retrospective on Dark one of these days. Be a lot of times to discuss. Heck, I would love to just take 7 minutes to actually talk about one of these talents, but I'm not an interviewer, so that's just, random thoughts. And of course, I cannot leave out the latest addition to Dark, AEW's only talk show, The Waiting Room, as Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Real Stars Show, in my opinion. Reba, not Rebel. It's Rebel, not Reba. They've had Sean Spears, who got driven through a freaking wall by Scorpio Sky. And they've also had musical guest Marco Stunt, impromptu. And they've also had, of course, most recently, a very passionate promo from SCU regarding really what could be the future of this team and them as singles, too. But I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit because that coincides with what happened on last week's Dynamite as we look at also this week's Dynamite. Because here I am going to bring you, as I record this now, 12:23 a.m., Christmas Eve, December 24th, just as the holiday bash literally just ended. I'm going to also bring you my thoughts about last week's Dynamite too, as they both coincide. So with that, let's go ahead and get started in no particular order. So the first thing I want to focus on is the Dark Order storyline. They seem to be recruiting multiple people now, particularly one, Hangman Adam Page, and the Natural, Dustin Rhodes. Let's go ahead and look at both of these, shall we? As last week, we had Hangman Adam Page in a 6-man tag with the Dark Order. 3 and 4, John Samu's always jacked, man. Let's go. It's hard to do it with a suit, let me tell you. And you'll never see that, so don't worry about it. And of course, they took on Matt Hardy and Private Party, the Hardy Party, where it looks like Matt Hardy's more so channeling his iconic big money Matt gimmick, as it seems like he's trying to prove that he can push these guys to the future, leading by example. While I did enjoy the cowboy antics, especially one point Johnson was riding on Hangman Adam Page's back and literally Hangman using him as an impromptu, I guess you could say heavyweight, to sit out like powerbomb type deal. or senton, excuse me. In the end, the Hardy Party, they did pull it off, but it seems that Paige and the Dark Order, they seem to be gelling a little bit more comfortably together, as BT also illustrated, because this week on the Christmas special, Heyman and Paige decided to celebrate Christmas with the Dark Order. So I think that there is potential in Heyman and Paige joining the Dark Order, but here's the thing. What could I see out of it? Could he be the replacement to one Heyman and Paige? Could he become the new knight to Mr. Broyley, who is still out due to injury? Could possibly the Dark Order be forming a trio with Heyman and Paige, Johnson and Alex Reynolds to go after the proposed trios titles that will be coming to AEW? I'll talk more about that later. We'll have to wait and see, but pretty good match. And Private Party was kind of a little bit peeved that Matt Hardy just tagged them after they did the work and got the win for the team. I mean, they won, but you would think Private Party would be the ones that, would be getting the win if he's wanting, to really push these guys over. But I guess he wants to lead by example. Is Matt Hardy slowly going maybe through a heel turn or a midlife crisis? You be the judge. I'm just saying. As we looked at this week's Dynamite, we had Dustin follow up on his words regarding he's going to take the Dark Order down one by one. The numbers don't matter to him. 7 was a horrible idea. It will not define me nor my legacy. And it certainly will not define me now. I don't plan on joining the Dark Order. As, of course, Lee Johnson, he did fall at the hands of Stu Grayson this week on Dark in a pretty good match. Very bright up-and-comer, latest member of the Nightmare family. As this week, we had Dustin taking on Evil Uno. Very good match, of course, because Dustin, of course, he always has great matches. He's natural, but I'll give Evil Uno credit. There are certain matches where I see a tag team competitor in a singles that really surprised me and I look forward to. And while I more so want to see Stu Grayson more in singles action, particularly with Anna Jay in his corner, just saying, because of their chemistry on BTE, I thought it was a really good match. Both men trying to incapacitate or hinder the other, working on hands and arms. And in the end, for 2 weeks in a row now, he has won with the running bulldog, the natural Dustin. While Evil Uno, he's still pleased with him to join the Dark Order. We will respect you. We will take care of you. We will make you better. Please take your place as number 7. Dustin refuses. Lot of aggressive Dustin in this match too, especially when I thought he was gonna go for Bionic Emma. Instead, he told him to suck it in his own way and then just basically sucked the taste out of his mouth. And he basically did the same thing after the match, which triggered Stu Grayson, who is a hothead, as we know. And he came in and assaulted Dustin, only for Uno to kind of try and pull him off and stop it as he's trying to continue to recruit him. While it seems that one QT Marshall tried to come in for the save, using his busted up right hand, Evil Uno blasts freaking QT Marshall, only for Big Shy Lee, who came out at ringside with Dustin in the first place, get the final move at work here and stands tall with a big springboard missile dropkick, taking out both Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. So there are a number of ways I could see this going. First off, I don't ever see Dustin joining the Dark Order. I see maybe Lee and Dustin taking on Stu Grayson, Evil Uno. I see as Dustin wants to continue taking on the Dark Order members one by one. He potentially might face Stu Grayson next singles action, and who knows, maybe Jay will be out at ringside again, leading by example. But this whole Dark Order recruitment storyline, it seems, to really build their ranks. I just don't know if this is more so pressure on Evil Uno to impress Mr. Brody Lee, or are they really trying to reinvent Dustin and one Heyman and Paige, who's been lost ever since being kicked out of the Elite, it seems. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, I thought it was a really good match. And overall, I'm curious where this Dark Order storyline goes, and more so what Mr. Brody Lee is going to do when he comes back. Is he going to reevaluate his Dark Order? Are some going to get hired, fired, promoted, etc.? Like maybe 5 or 10 can lose their mask. Again, both in, by the way, 10 winning his singles match on Dark. I could definitely see 5 and 10 moving forward, as 5 and 10 had a great 6-man also this week as they took on Jurassic Express. This was, of course, regarding the words that FTR said about the tag team division. And basically, they spoke their mind and were very vocal about what they see this division becoming. They did not come into AEW to be part of this, nor be like this. As Totally Sully says, fear the revolution or revelation, as it seems FTR on hell bent on getting those tag team championships back. Now, will they do it? I don't know. But this Sully ties into what I like to call the FTR storyline, as FTR is on a personal vendetta, it seems, led mostly by Tully Blanchard, to get back those tag team championships and prove why they are the best tag team in the world then, now, and forever. After their solo encounter a couple weeks ago with Jurassic Express following the win over the Varsity Blondes, it was said that this week, and it happened, Jurassic Express would take on Dark Order, 5, 10, and Colt Cabana. And while I still feel Colt Cabana is very out of place when it comes to the Dark Order, I will say this. He tried, but honestly, there was so much miscommunication. It was just messy. 5 and 10 definitely led here. At one point, I thought 5 and 10 were going to get the win when they isolated Jurassic Express and basically worked on only Marco's stunt, but it wasn't enough. As in the end, Jurassic Express pulled it together, really gained some momentum over the weeks, apparently ranked number 3, and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy with the assisted takeover suplex into the sit-out powerbomb maneuver, planting number 5 Out Angels, who came so darn close to seeing winning this match for his team. He ate the fall. But Jurassic Express didn't have much time to celebrate, as on the screens, totally basically, he puts out a challenge and also puts out this mission statement. You got 2 weeks to prepare, Jurassic Express. We see that you want to be the best as well. We see you want to do that maybe at the expense of FTR. Well, we're going to give you the opportunity, as FTR will give you their own brush of greatness in 2 weeks when you take them on in tag team action. But if Marco Stunt wishes to get involved, totally blamed for the burn of the night, I can see myself going back to a flashback of the 80s, and that triggered Marco Stunt something fierce. Something tells me things are going to give next week on the first week of AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash, but we'll have to wait and see. But overall, a very good match with Jurassic Express continues their momentum. And again, Dark Order, they're trying to really figure out themselves, their rankings. I truly want to see some sort of like performance reviews, really like a redefining of the Dark Order. I still think the strongest member is Anna Jay, and she hasn't had like a match on Dynamite since losing to Sheeta. Just saying. But that's just my brief thoughts on that. So as far as this Dark Order storyline FTR thing goes, again, it's all up in the air. I feel like at this point, I don't feel like there's no definitive way for both. If I were to say what I think might happen, I could definitely see maybe Heyman and Adam Page joining the Dark Order. I don't see Dustin doing it, as this thing with the Nightmare Family and the Dark Order really continues to escalate, it seems, now as they confront Dustin versus Cody, since Mr. Broyley is MIA. And as far as FTR goes, I honestly see FTR versus Young Bucks being redone, possibly at Revolution, and it might start with going through Jurassic Express and building the way for the rankings. Because again, right now, this is literally Tully Blanchard's legacy, to lead FTR as the AEW Tag Team Champions into retirement. Will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. And that's all I really got to say about that. Moving on from there, let's go ahead and look at what I think is really the changing pretty much an all or nothing view for SCU. Last week, SCU's Christopher Daniels and Frank Kazarian, they took on young, up-and-coming, recently newly signed tag team to the AEW division, The Acclaim. And after The Acclaim basically told them about their name, and Max Caster again spoke his own lyrics, he got burned literally when freaking Kaz, who says he wants to own everything in AEW, he basically took the mic and put The Acclaim in their place, calling them man on mission, saying that their stuff was horrible, and basically was going to give them an SCU ass kicking. And while it looked like, for the most part during their match, as the Young Bucks were watching on from ringside, The Acclaim, with the help of a boombox, of all things, go figure, they actually get the win, and they beat SCU. Yes, this young team, very little experience, beats SCU and gets the AEW Tag Team title shot that we just saw tonight, in case you all haven't watched either Dynamite yet, or are just tuning in Dynamite and figuring it out, because I know some people are like that. Basically, though, the bigger story here is Christopher Daniels, once again, I mean, ever since the TH2 whole debacle stuff, too, which is also in the back mind of a Kaz, as Kaz is a man that lives, breathes, eats, thrives off professional wrestling. with his brothers and his best friends. But Christopher Daniels, he basically isn't pulling his weight, he says, where is that Christopher Daniels that used to like run roughshod, was the top guy, wouldn't let himself fall to just antics like that, as Daniels basically puts out his own midlife crisis scenes. And this comes into play this week on The Waiting Room, where literally SCU took over as Kazarian basically spoke his mind about what we need to do and what I propose for you. We go all or nothing one more time towards the AEW Tag Team Championships. But the next time we lose as a team, we're done. And literally we would go our separate ways. And as Daniels looks like he was about to walk away from this already and just stop where it is, they embrace each other and say, let's do it. So now SCU has a new resolve, it seems, at least Kazarian and Daniels does it. More so, I think Daniels needs this than anybody else, to try and once again gain that top spot as the best tag team in all of All Elite Wrestling, preferably for Christopher Daniels and Kazarian, where Daniels again was taken out at the very beginning and couldn't even become AEW Tag Team Champion. And ever since then, it's just been a rocky slope for him, both on Dark and Dynamite. So you gotta wonder, does this mean that SCU is gonna turn more into bad influence from TNA? See what I did there? Or is this truly all or nothing, and come 2021, will we finally see the breakup of SCU? What will be the match or team to do it to? Who will implode the other first, Daniels or Kazarian? While Kazarian seems the most driven out of them, definitely the most vocal. Have you seen BTE? I really don't know where this is going to go, but I'm super curious to find out. As again, they were not in action this week. None of them were. So you got to imagine that SCU is already watching the tag team division, figuring about what they need to do to really elevate their game and see what their first step will be towards maybe repursuing tag team gold. Are we on the verge of maybe Young Bucks versus SCU on our way to Revolution? And is FTR maybe the one true barrier that will define that too? Right now, the tag division it's so many tag teams, but I feel like the big three is Young Bucks, FTR, and SCU. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, the Acclaim, they won, of course, with, basically critically acclaimed, their finisher. And they got the tag title match this week. Now, before I talk about the tag title match for this week, because that was the main event, let's go ahead and review everything else that happened on last week's Dynamite too, as this again comes into play with this week too. Let's go ahead and look at Cody. Cody took on Angelico in a singles exhibition match where Angelico looked, he was very close to beat Cody after the Navarro death roll, but Cody, he lasted through the pain, got out of the rope break, and ended the man with, of course, a ridiculous crossroads at the end with the coach in his corner. Really fun exhibition match. Also, as announced, congratulations to both Cody and Brandy Rhodes. They're going to be parents. Brandy is pregnant. That's a beautiful thing considering how many wrestling couples this year have really got it on and got it done and are really building the future. Not necessarily pro wrestling, but just of the world itself. I wish nothing but the best in their pursuit now and journeys of parenthood. Congratulations to you both. Anyway, following that, of course, Cody had that match, but this week, Jade Cargill kind of trying to make it feel personal. As she says, now since Brandy's gone, now maybe the AEW Women's Division and the brand itself for AEW will be 110% better. Didn't drop a name, though, since she's gone. But she is waiting for a confrontation, while Shaq basically waits for Cody. She's waiting for Brandy. In the meantime, she is hungry and ready for in-ring action. I don't know about you all, but I'm ready to see the in-ring debut of Jade Cargill too and what she brings to the table. And she wants some really good, strong competition. So you gotta wonder, who's it gonna be? People proposed on Twitter, maybe Red Velvet. Nah. I guess Red Velvet is making strides. I mean, she's got new music like Kylan King. Nice stuff, Mikey Ruckus. But I don't know. I mean, if you're going to continue this thing, I guess, with Vicky and Brandy challenging each other about who's the better manager, blah, blah, blah. I guess Red Velvet makes sense because literally it feels like Red Velvet could be Brandy's protege. She's taken in under her wing, but she's not part of the Nightmare family. So I guess Red Velvet does make the most sense. But you also got to consider Big Swole or Serena Deeb. As last week, Big Swole and Serena Deeb, they paired up in defense of Brandy and Red Velvet to take on Evil's Diamante following a previous, of course, backstage encounter. Strong tag team match, and Big Swole has really have grown and adapted her style in ring. Much more technical too than just physical brawler. As she didn't win with Dirty Dancing, but she did win with a power move and a pinfall victory. As Evilise Diamante old tag team wrestling on Dark, they could not get it done on Dynamite against the NWA World Women's Champion and Big Swole. But they didn't have much time to celebrate, as immediately following that, who comes out to basically pick the bones. But Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero, the Vicious Vixens, only for Red Velvet to come out with an equalizer, a steel chair. So it seems like this thing is far from over when it comes to a battle of Brandy and company versus Vicky Guerrero and company. And are Evilise and Diamante under Vicky Guerrero's management at this point? Did she hire them as clients? There's still a lot of blurred lines to say the least. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But I'm glad to see they're doing more with the women's division. Not that it's just surrounding the AEW Women's Championship, which we'll get into. But we got some grudges, some character development, more talent showcasing. Now, if only they can make more than one match on freaking AEW like they do in Impact Wrestling. But I digress. Good match, though. But what I also want to think about, though, now, because I didn't talk to you about post-match stuff for certain reason, because, again, trying to coincide everything in all 1 week. Let's go ahead and talk about the man, the icon. It's Sting! As Tony Schiavone once again subtly alluded to this week. Last week, after Cody beat Angelico and Team Taz tries to spoil the parade, as always, trying to take the man out with his entire Team Taz in force. People keep thinking Legit Later Hirsch should join Team Taz. I think that would be very interesting, but more so, I want to see Kurt Angle and Legit Later Hirsch come together, manager talent type of pairing. But I digress. Sorry, going off in the weeds. Anyway, as they were going to attack Cody, who was standing in the ring by himself, Sting suddenly comes out, gives a wink to Darby Allin, who looks up from afar, and Team Taz does nothing. But Will Hobbs is a guy that apparently does not seem afraid of a baseball bat. He wanted to get a piece of Sting, only for Team Taz to basically restrain the man. This week, there was more of that in a way, but this time from the Machine, Brian Cage. As this time we got more words from Sting, who talks about, great to be back in the jungle, great to see the jungle thriving, I'm back in the jungle. He points up towards one Darby Allin, but before we get further elaboration towards why Sting is here, once again, Team Taz comes out, makes their presence known, and literally got tired of Sting's crap, keeping it PG here, said they were going to come down and beat the crap out of him, doesn't care about him, but you get involved with Team Taz business, we got to end you. Lights go out, and then you never thought you would see this, but how awesome is it? As Darby Allin and Sting are standing side by side in the ring, Team Taz like, we're going to just take the high road, fight you another day. But it is official, as January 6th, we will have a TNT Championship match, as it has been accepted, as the Machine Brian Cage will take on the TNT champion, Darby Allin. Something tells me Sting is not going to be too far away from that match. I think this so-called fantasy manager talent pairing is coming rather sooner than later. And Brian Cage, though, he didn't want to wait, but again, Team Taz, they resisted. So here's the way I see it. I see Sting literally being the guy to lead what I think is going to be the next Sting, in a way, of professional wrestling, but the one true and only Darby Allin. I think that Sting sees a lot of himself in this young, relentless renegade that stands alone, never is content, and is always wanting to do more and be more in professional wrestling. He never wants to settle. And a guy that's a few words, but incredibly unique visual video promos and illustrations, and has already gotten big names acclaimed for him to support him, including but not limited to Steve-O and Tony Hawk. You now have Sting, the icon, in your corner, and there's no doubt in my mind that Sting had to be a heavy influence on Darby Allin one point of his life. I think that's pretty damn cool. And again, you want to preserve Sting, you want to use Sting as a regular. I mean, you don't want to get involved in any action based on maybe age and health history, underline. This might be the way to do it. So I'm actually very game to see how this all plays out and how this all goes down. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Now then, let's go ahead and talk about another aspect of AEW that's been happening and really opening up these last couple of weeks. The Inner Circle, particularly with its newest members. MJF, and Wardlow. Last week, we learned that apparently the New York Times has claimed that Dinner Debonair as one of the best award-winning things they've seen, Broadway style wise. MJF, never ever the so humble, self-prideful recipient of their award, like to thank not the Academy, but himself, but appreciates Jericho for the assistance. Again, you know, Jericho, MJF, this whole dynamic, you know it's got to break eventually. But it didn't over these last couple of weeks. As last week, that ridiculous 12-man tag, it broke down in a hurry. But after Hager did the work in the end on one of the, I think it was, who the freak was it? One of the Varsity Blondes, I think. It was so much chaos in that match. MJF, he tags, comes in, and slowly gets the pinfall win. Similar strategy this week, as after that match last week, they get confronted by Top Flight, and Top Flight calls them out for a challenge, and they get the tag team challenge this week. As Top Flight continues to show innovative, dynamic tag team offense. By the way, Hager was in MJF and Jericho's corner this week. It was not enough, as again, referee distractions and Hager came to play, and at the end of the day, there's a heat seeker, and MJF, he does come in and pulls out the win, not with Salt of the Earth, but a pinfall victory. He and Jericho, though, they definitely gel very well together as a tag team. They share similar mannerisms, you can tell, but there's definitely egos in play here, too. But what's interesting here was the post, as one very limited, but somewhat can be very vocal, Jake Hager takes to the mic, talks about the state of the inner circle, MJF, and its other member, Wardlow. Wondering why Wardlow wasn't out there tonight, wondering if he's there to literally do the work, proud to be part of the inner circle. And again, this all started with the fact that two just kept constantly staring at each other. Well, it seems that Hager has had enough and is truly wanting to test Wardlow to see if he is that big of a threat or a key ally in the inner circle. As reluctantly, Jericho's like, it's what it is. But MJF's like, whoa, hold on, let's not do this. Well, it's going to happen. Jake Hager has officially challenged Wardlow to a one-on-one match. So this is very interesting to me, considering when I think about the breakdown of the inner circle, I figured it was going to be like MJF and Sammy at first, with Sammy being thrown out due to shenanigans. As again, Sammy did that on ulterior motive where he says if one more thing goes off, he will leave the inner circle himself. But then you got these two bodyguards, these two juggernauts. Don't speak, just stare. Said they won't stare at each other anymore. And literally now, Hager wants Wardlow one-on-one. What does he have to gain from this? What does he truly want? Is he testing Wardlow? Does he feel intimidated? Is Wardlow bigger than Hager in a way? Maybe. And this match might very well determine it. When I think about this match, I think about a battle of two juggernauts literally fighting for pride and overall maybe bragging rights at the end. This could become a series for all I know. It's rare that we get Wardlow in singles matches outside of a tournament, it seems, or against somebody that's not his size. So this is going to be very interesting with the mixed MMA background of Hager coming to play too, if he's ready to fight. So we'll see how this whole thing plays with Wardlow and Hager next week. And will Jericho and MJF be in the most defensive corners or literally let the men duke it out on their own? Only time will tell. But I'm really looking forward to this heavyweight clash, let me tell you. Meanwhile, as we continue on through these couple weeks of Dynamite, let's go ahead and look at something else that's been brewing lately. And people really don't know what to interpret of it or think about it, but it's something that's going to lead to something, I guess. As we know, 2 weeks ago, it was Orange Cassidy and MJF fighting for that ring, but one Miro let his friends be known and cost him that. We sadly learned last week, though, Miro has been fined based on his actions against security guards, but he still feels happy because he told us, and we heard it tonight, we were going to learn about the date, the big date of the wedding. And then as Orange Cassidy and Best Friends being brought up, and he basically says, bah humbug. And literally it looks like he got his vengeance here this week. As we learned, but of course they teased us, Miro did give us the day, but not before we thought the Best Friends were going to come out. And then we find out that Trent has been mysteriously taken out. Yeah, right. And apparently loaded in an ambulance, and Chuck and Orange Cassidy can't believe it. So basically, here's the two things to think about, folks. We learned the date of the wedding. It will take place on a beach. Beach break. AEW Dynamite special, the first AEW Dynamite in February, will be the big day of the wedding during AEW Dynamite Beach Break special. And it will be on a beach. But I feel like more so here, we are building towards Miro versus Orange Cassidy. Because now Orange Cassidy has hurt, botch. Now Miro has hurt one of Orange Cassidy's closest friends. I feel like Orange Cassidy is actually going to do something that we aren't going to expect. And you could damn well believe that I believe the best friends are going to show up uninvited to the wedding. And there's one thing I've learned as a wrestling fan for the last 28 years. Wrestling weddings never go to plan. So something has to give, and I sense disaster. But fun hilarity out of it too. Hopefully someone doesn't go into a kick first. But we'll have to wait and see. It will be like video game related or some sort of video game character. Maybe like Cameo Reeves. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see. And as far as this goes, I think it's literally leaning towards Miro versus Orange Cassidy at Revolution. I mean, think about what we had this year. We had freaking Orange Cassidy's in-ring debut under AEW against the bastard Pac. And it surprised the hell out of everybody, including JR and Tony Schiavone. So who knows what Miro and Orange Cassidy can do in the ring with each other. Besides the fact Miro's been wiping out Orange Cassidy each chance he gets, inside out, upside down with the freaking clothesline. But again, we'll have to wait and see. All right. Now, let's go ahead before we talk about our main event picture and look at the AEW Women's Championship picture. As I subtly put towards, Abaddon and Shida are at each other, but more so, one I think is psychologically in the head of the other. I think it's safe to say at this point that Hikaru Shida right now is sick and tired of Abaddon. After the match with Kylan King on last week's Dark, Abaddon came out, let her presence be known following that candlestick attack previous week where Shida saved Tessa Price. By the way, Tessa Price, keep making strides. You go, all right? Literally, she took her out after the match with Kylan King, and following that, we find that Shida is sick and tired of this, getting annoyed. Shida is going to be in action this week, and she was in action against one Alex Gracia. But before the match could even happen this freaking week, Abaddon tries to attack her backstage and has already routed the champion as Michael Nakazawa. He basically comes in, breaks things up, and guides the champ to the ring. As Hikaru Shida and Alex Gracia put on a pretty good match against each other. Good filling up process in the beginning, some aggressive, hard-hitting strikes to begin. As Hikaru Shida isolated Alex Gracia, of course, for one of her patented moves, the step-up knee strike. Sorry about that, folks. Camera having issues. Go figure. It's a cheap camera. I got to invest in a new one. What are you going to do? Literally, we find that Abaddon makes her way to the ringside area, garners the attention of the champion, and we find now Hikaru Shida distracted to the point that she almost gets counted out as she goes after Abaddon and then basically lays her out on the barricade side area. And she does get into the ring eventually, but Alex Gracia, she does follow with some nice offense, nearly gets a pinfall victory, nice near fall. But Hikaru Shida, of course, follows up with Falcon Arrow. She's done the deal. And literally Hikaru Shida gets a quick, simple win. But after that, she was not done by a long shot, as this match wasn't her focus right now. But her focus right now was what might be the biggest threat to her title reign, and that is one Abaddon. As she goes after Abaddon, and Abaddon literally looks dead, she pokes her with the stick that she has. Abaddon, she lets her know that I'm very much alive, and I can literally take a piece of you anytime. And she did tonight, as the two fought around ringside. Aubrey was not getting anywhere near that. I don't blame her. Literally at one point, Abaddon traps Shida on the barricade, climbs up on her, and literally bites into her neck. What in the holy hell? Yeah, undead living girl, zombie, possessed demon person, yeesh. Literally, as Abaddon just looks on, and Shida, we just see her grabbing her neck, like literally, like she's bleeding like a sieve in a way. This was super weird, and I can only imagine right now if Shida fears Abaddon or is furious with Abaddon. And we're going to talk about that shortly, about what comes ahead next week on the last Dynamite of the year, the first half of AEW Dynamite's New Year's Smash. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. All right. Following that, let's go into, let's see here. What haven't I discussed? Yes, perfect. Let's talk about Family Feud, not the show hosted by Steve Harvey, but more so a family war, maybe war of families, I think is the appropriate term for it, as we have a battle of families, as Eddie Kingston continues to mock, prod Lance Archer, Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Pentagon in this real war of families, as Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny, yay Allie, literally they stand by Kingston's side. Last week, Kingston came out to subtly list his enemies and point them out. But starting with, I feel like the fiercest of them all, who isn't even on All Elite, but is All Elite, the big man upstairs, I would never challenge him, Kingston. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Have you not heard JR? He says tomorrow is never guaranteed. Is this camera working? Whatever. Anyway, y'all don't see me that well. That's okay. Y'all just basically need to see what I'm saying. So that's what matters. Let's see here. Come on, focus. Technical glitching. Come on, technical difficulties. Work with me here. Stupid camera. I need to get a new camera. Hey, maybe I should ask that for Christmas. I just advertised turn. Sorry, going off topic here. Anyway, as we continue on with this, let me see if I can fix this. Oh well. As we continue on with this show, we find that Lance Archer, he points out some other names, including the Bastard Pac, but what name really causes everything to hit the fan but one freaking Lance Archer? And as soon as he calls Lance Archer's name, literally Lance Archer comes out like a bat out of hell, tries to get a piece of Eddie Kingston. And as he and Eddie Kingston basically brawl around ringside, this also brings out the family, the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny. And literally following that, there we go. Sorry about that. Literally following that, we find that the Bastard Pac makes his presence known, despite the fact they dropped him on his neck on a steel chair. And all hell breaks loose. The Butcher and the Blade, Allie, control your daggone family. And literally, Kingston, they're all fighting at ringside. Lance isolates Kingston, tries to get a piece of him. Eventually, they go in the ring. It looks like Lance about to choke slam him, but Pac, he goes him in a punk kick, and Kingston rolls the hell out of Dodge and gets out of there. And basically, we're wondering right now who gets Kingston first. Well, we kind of get more of an idea of who wants Kingston more, and we still don't know at this point, as this week we had my favorite match of the show, in my opinion, as we had the Butcher take on the Bastard Pac in ridiculous, aggressive, strong singles action with Eddie Kingston on commentary. As the Butcher, he demonstrated why he is a ridiculous powerhouse in singles or tag action. Love this man's style, by the way. At one point, Irish whip and just absorbed it, literally just comes off it, punks kick Pac in the freaking next week. At one point, there's a ref distraction after it looks like Pac is going to go for his finisher. Goes for a couple of top rope maneuvers, but Butcher, he just shrugs it off. As again, Butcher was the more powerful of the two here, but Pac was definitely faster, and the Bastard would not stay down. Literally, as the Butcher, though, turns him inside out, upside down, we think the Butcher literally was about to win here. Even Kingston was going to win, but it was not to be. I still cannot believe how Pac freaking kicked out of that move. Absolutely ridiculous. As Kingston is beside himself, and so is Allie and the Blade at ringside, Kingston is about to approach the ring, and literally before he could, Murder Hawk comes out, stops him dead in his tracks, and Kingston gets up behind freaking good old JR and Tony Schiavone for his life. And during this, it allows Pac to hit the Black Arrow and get the win over the Butcher. And basically, Kingston, he is still isolated at this point, as Pac and Lance look on and basically confront each other. You have to wonder, how is this going to be settled? Are we going to get handicap? Are we going to get triple threat? Is there going to be a war of words first with all three of these men? No contact by Tony Khan. And who's going to get the match? Is it Lance Archer versus Kingston? Is it Pac versus Kingston? How does this end? And are we going to get Lance and freaking Pac tagging together to take on the family? I mean, it's a crazy thought, but I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I mean, it's just, you know, a curious thought, but I think there's potential in it happening. I don't know about you all. The bottom line is this. I really am enjoying this battle of families. I don't want it to stop, but I kind of want to see Kingston try and push Ali now to the women's division after this whole Abaddon program's over, but that's just another thought of me. And again, now we'll see how ticked Eddie Kingston is and how the family bounces back from this. At least Ali got a wish, though. I mean, the bastard still got his ass kicked, so I say that's a win-win. And again, the Butcher, impressive in singles action. You can't argue with that. So that's all I got to say about that. Which leads me to basically the last part right now, I feel like, of the entire Dynamite storyline scene before I talk about this week's main event. As we had last week, Kenny Omega took on Joey Janela to basically clear all basically, you know, unmarked things from the past. Because again, Joey Janela, he couldn't face Kenny Omega in that tournament due to, of course, COVID-based type of restrictions. And last week, this was just more so a fun match. Yes, it was NoDQ, it was Joey Janela's type of match, but more so Kenny Omega, Don Callis, they took over. Not only in ring, but on commentary. You get Don Callis a loose mic ringside, and basically he was trying to commentate the match himself. As Tony Schiavone refused to give Don Callis a seat, literally telling him to kiss my ass. I love Tony Schiavone and his pure, unbiased just being there, all right? He is the best thing right now in AEW when it comes to commentary. I freaking love the guy. And basically, this match, we've had trash cans, we've had freaking dives on trash cans, we've had chairs. Kenny Omega, of course, having fun at one point. He not only has in-ring action, but he also takes over commentary too. This match was pretty short-lived, even with Sonny Kiss at ringside. Kenny Omega made easy work of Joey Janela. I don't think nobody's surprised with that. Some of the response aside, there was a one-wing angel. Kenny Omega gets the win. But that wasn't our biggest angle here, as he does have one more thing. As it seems now, since Don Callis is trying to get, I think, under Tony Khan's skin or teach Tony Khan something, but Tony Khan, he's basically trying to one-up Don Callis. And I think Don Callis and Tony Khan are on the verge of a big face-to-face, whether it's backstage, on BT, on Impact Wrestling, or in AEW. Only time will tell, but I think it's definitely something to consider. As we learned last week, Pac got done talking with Tony Khan, brings out his family, and says that Rey Fenix will be facing Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. And Kenny Omega this week, he sounded furious, annoyed about it, but he runs down Rey Fenix's resume. And when it comes to going into tag gold, going into singles action, following up on big-time singles opportunity, you choke or you miss it due to injury, or you just don't live up. How do you expect to hold up against me, Mr. 6 or 7-star classic in the ring? You think you have a chance against the AEW World Champion? Well, I mean, hey, I'll give you, you know, the shine. But as far as this title goes, you're not getting it. Happy holidays. As the two, of course, were from a hotel. We also got some solid cameos from Kenny Omega and Don Callis on Impact Wrestling once again, as we build towards a now official 6-man tag team match main event for Hard to Kill, where Kenny Omega will team with, it's a OG Bullet Club reunion, folks, the Good Brothers, to take on Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. I must say, I find this very interesting, as the AEW World Champion will be on an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view. Yes, you heard me right. As again, it seems like Kenny Omega, he's there to, well, own everything. And I feel eventually he and Rich Swann, they have to meet title for title in the ring, or maybe for the Impact World Championship. I know I'm blurring the lines and cross barriers here, but folks, this is what AEW is becoming. They are trying to literally become the territory days. As once again, 2 weeks in a row, we have paid announcements by Tony Khan and AEW, the two most powerful toys of pro wrestling. And Tony Khan slowly teases things like AEW, we're bigger, and $7 billion, I think, can own Impact Wrestling. I have investments in Nashville. I might look over your tag team division, look over some contracts, considering some contracts are expiring very soon. And as Kenny Omega right now, the Tony Khan allows him to work with Impact Wrestling. Tony Khan encourages and has an open door, basically policy now, it seems, for Impact Wrestling. Come on, AEW. I invite you. Not just this week, but anytime too. So you gotta wonder, how soon are we to the invasion of maybe Scott D'Amore or somebody from Impact Wrestling into AEW? Rich Swann, Sami Callihan, Taya Valkyrie, the Deaners, or somebody of the Motion Machine Guns. I feel like we are into some really big, shocking surprises come the early start of the new year too. And I'm just saying that's just an open thought when I think about the fact that we have Impact Wrestling and AEW on the horizon, working together, challenging each other. Is this the revolution waiting to happen? Are we getting Impact and AEW presenting both to you AEW Revolution? Think about that, folks. It's insane to think about, but it actually could happen. But I digress, and I'm just getting really excited. By the way, shout outs to Impact Wrestling's year-end award holiday special. Congratulations to Deonna Purrazzo for not only winning Knockout of the Year, but Wrestler of the Year. What an incredible short impact she's had. Two-time Knockouts champion. That classic Iron Man match, which probably is one of the top matches of Impact Wrestling this year. She's faced Su Yung. She brings class. She is the virtuosa for a reason. Her era is just beginning. I wish her nothing but the best. She is going to take Impact Wrestling extremely far, and she has really redefined herself as a top-tier Impact Wrestling superstar. Congratulations to her. Shout out to Ace Austin, by the way, X Division Star of the Year, too, even though my friend Cindy, please follow her podcast, Into the Stratosphere, in collaboration with Bulletcast as well. Got Rob, but hey, he got something, so there you go. All right. As we talked about, the ties and the teases of Impact versus AEW or Impact with AEW, etc. We talk about the world title picture. We talk about everything going on. We talk about Sting, the women's division, the tag team dynamics, who could possibly challenge the Young Bucks next. Well, we got their next challenger, Lily, about an hour ago, as the Acclaim, this brash, arrogant, pompous tag team, or more so Max Caster with his mic skills, trying to beat John Cena in 2020. But him and Bowens, I'll admit, they brought a pretty damn strong fight in this main event. As we saw Max Caster and Bowens take on the Young Bucks in tag team match for the AEW Tag Team Championships, they brought some great tag team chemistry to the ring, isolating the Bucks at multiple points, but there was certain points, of course, the Bucks, they took over. We had everything from the locomotion suplexes to Nick flying in between, out of the ropes, with, of course, the suplex, and then slides in between the ropes, off the apron suplex, and then drops with a side takedown on Caster. Caster was isolating most of this match, and they really worked over Bowens at one point, including a, catapult into a kick, and then lays over the knees, and then eats a double stomp, but for a nice near fall, but it wasn't enough. At one point, it looked like Lily the Acclaim, they were going to get the win after some miscommunication, basically caused the Bucks to super kick Rick Knox, and all hell broke loose, including but not limited to low blow, boombox to the face. Paul Turner comes out, closest near fall of the match. The Acclaim came this close to becoming tag team champions. But in the end, the Bucks persevered, and they nailed Caster with a BTE trigger and hold their titles as we head into the new year. And I will say, the Acclaim, just like a Top Flight, there is a ton of potential with them as well. I'm glad to see AEW really pushing young, hungry, up-and-coming independent talent as the future of the business. Starts with Dark, and then you see what happens with it on Dynamite. With the fact that AEW now has another show coming called potentially, I believe, Elevation, I'm really wondering where they go from here, how the roster expands, and how they also expand their identity. But this brand has truly redefined professional wrestling for the year 2020, in my opinion. I couldn't be happier for it. And we still have one more Dynamite to go. By the way, so no, Sean Spears, Tony Schiavone pissed him off thinking maybe all the things that happen to you and the setbacks and maybe what's holding you back is yourself. It seems that Sean Spears is going to take some time away, maybe redefine himself. We'll have to wait and see when he comes back. Now, let's go ahead and briefly highlight what's to come on the very last Dynamite of the year, heading into the 2-week-long New Year's Smash special. Part 1, New Year's Smash, the last Dynamite of the year. Wednesday, December 30th. We are going to finally see Hikaru Shida and Abaddon come head-to-head for the AEW Women's Championship. With a record of 23-1, but the psychological warfare Abaddon has put her through, including biting her neck. Are we going to see a more aggressive Abaddon and Shida than we ever seen before? Is this Hikaru Shida's toughest match to date? Are we going to see a new AEW Women's Champion going into 2020? 21. Well, considering that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are still doing their thing, and last week the disrespect Britt Baker gave Thunder Rosa literally trying to wipe the paint off her face and what that means. Ooh, a bad move. Again, Reba though, best character. I just want more Reba in the ring. That's what I want. I feel that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa is going to be for a little while yet, and they're going to hold off. But I could see the next challenger, maybe for Shida, could be a surprise. Maybe Shana. Maybe they build up some surprise. Maybe hers actually does join Team Taz. Maybe a talent I'm not even figured about. Maybe even, dare I say it, maybe Allie. They could do something with Allie in case they could push Allie. I don't know if they would revisit on it, Jay, but something in me right now regarding this whole entire program of her and Abaddon, it's crazy. It's awesome. It's going to be competitive. It's had mind games. But I feel like Shida is not dropping that title. I think Shida is going to retain one way or another. But it's going to be an aggressive fight, and I think it's going to take more than one knee strike. I can see knee strike, Abaddon laying backwards, rising up, freaking out Shida. Abaddon basically goes for something, but Shida hits with another knee strike, and that could be it. But regardless, I think that Shida is going to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. Now, in the Battle of the Juggernauts with Wardlow and Jake Hager. By the way, MJF playing the sympathetic guy to what happened with Santana recently, getting to Santana's good side. Well, Ortiz reluctantly is like, hey, hold your head up, bro. You know, MJF could literally be an actor. I know he has like a degree in theater, but that was impressive. I don't see MJF or Jericho coming into play at all with next week's match. But LeChampion will be on commentary, so this should be interesting. Imagine if both Jericho and MJF are on commentary. That would be very entertaining, I think. But I think also Tony Schiavone would lose his damn mind. Anyway, looking at this match, Battle of the Juggernauts, Jake Hager and Wardlow, I think about who needs the win more, who could get the win. In my personal opinion, I think that Wardlow is actually going to get the win here with that F10. And I think it's going to come out with Hager trying to apply that choke, and Wardlow, he's going to survive it, or MJF, he might distract Hager in a way. There's got to be some sort of shenanigan I feel like that's going to play into the finish. But I think, honestly, that Wardlow is going to get the win in this match here. And honestly, I'm just really looking forward to the clash of the freaking Titans here. I don't know about y'all. All right. So as we look more towards what else could possibly happen here on next week's Dynamite, we also have, of course, they got a loaded show for next week. The AEW World Championship. You know, it wouldn't surprise me, basically, that we get possibly some more follow-up to SCU. Maybe Jade Cargill gets her exhibition match too, or demands it. Maybe FTR will lead by example and show Jurassic Express what they have in store. Because honestly, outside of 2 championship matches and the Battle of the Giants, there isn't a lot, I believe, to next week. So it's kind of weird. But I will say this, because this isn't a match, but I also am very curious about this. Jon Moxley will be returning to Dynamite next week. And regarding the fact he lost the AEW Championship the way he did, you can expect he's going to be very vocal regarding how he wants a piece of Omega and his title back. Would they actually make this rematch, though, for Revolution or Homecoming? I think it's too soon to say. But I also believe that maybe we'll finally get some follow-up to what's going to happen to him in regards to his NJPW U.S. title reign. They're not going to strip him because that would be cheap based on, in fact, he couldn't defend it due to a pandemic versus just missing a flight to a weather phenomenon. But I feel like Jon Moxley right now, his primary focus is going to be getting back the AEW World Championship one way or another. And honestly, I'm just wondering who's going to come out and confront him, maybe like backlash him. Maybe Ricky Starks will try and step up to Jon Moxley. That would be very bold, but it'd be a different program. So I think that we're going to hold off Nasty's title match because, again, he can't go to Japan. I don't see Kenta showing up because, again, he's involved in Wrestle Kingdom. I think they're going to resolve the IWGP Nasty's Championship at New Beginning, in my opinion. And I think it was supposed to be with Zack Sabre Jr., but then the pandemic just threw it all out of whack. But that's just my thoughts on that. Which leads me to the last thing I know about last week. as we finally will have Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix close out the year for the AEW World Championship. As Kenny Omega successfully defended this year the AAA Mega Championship against Rey Fenix and Laredo Kid, he has not had a chance to face Rey Fenix for this title at all, but he did have a chance to face him in the tournament and couldn't do it. And hence this match was made official by Tony Khan. This is going to be Rey Fenix's toughest but probably greatest match to date beyond the matches with his brother in AEW. I hope this match gets a good 30 minutes. This is going to be a classic to send us out on the year, but there's no way, absolutely no way I see the cleaner losing this title. There's going to be a very epic epilogue, I think, to this. Maybe we end the year with somebody from Impact confronting him. Maybe Rich Swann literally shows up and drops Kenny Omega. I think that'd be interesting. But I see the year ending with Kenny Omega standing tall as AEW World Champion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that concludes this special, simple, reignited holiday edition of AEW Dynamite and AEWSPARK. Of course, AEW.BTA understood it all just falls together. This is AEWSPARK, a forum for all things All Elite Wrestling. I hope you enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed this year and what AEW has brought to, but I am tired. I got work in a few hours. It's 1:15 a.m., December 24th. My voice is going out from being a fan, reacting to wrestling. So I will bid you all adieu. If you want to know more about me, though, know this. I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of wrestling and all of its forms, the good, the bad, the big, and the ugly, even sports entertainment. So follow me on Twitter and Foster1916. Keep following the simple YouTube channel and Foster1916, or look up youtube.com/C/no-Foster210 for all things wrestling. Special year-end content coming out next week, including, as we end the year, predictions for Wrestle Kingdom in full. There will be full recap as well as New Year's Dash. Much more content to come. There'll be a special announcement regarding the holidays on the future of this YouTube channel and more. And my work in NoDQ going into 2021 this Sunday. So stay tuned for more on that. As always, you know me, you know what I'm about. You know it's in the description down below. Support Team Elite, support NoDQ, support the Bulletcast, my friends to these Bulletcasts in the stratosphere, support Good Cherry Brand, support Jeff Meacham Network, buy a shirt. Support ATW, shout out to my friends, my family on Twitter, the ATW family. Support my passion project with my boys here from Ohio, the Sauce Wrestling Podcast. And at the end of the day, folks, enjoy live and enjoy wrestling. And support for wrestling, folks. That's the heart of it as fans. As always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets, big and small. Let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, elite, authentic, unscripted, unrestricted wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, I thank you so much for tuning in this fine holiday season. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit the bell, no next video goes on this channel. Hit the subscribe button. Help me keep growing this channel as we head into 2021. Shout out to all 171 of you that's been with me on this fun YouTuber's greatest journey. It's not laying up anytime soon. I hope to offer you more fun and content to you too. But until then, folks, it's the holidays. So with that being said, I really don't have much more to say to you besides I hope you and your families have a blessed, safe, positive, happy holiday. Take care. Enjoy life. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Treasure your families and enjoy wrestling. There's more of it now than ever. We have a hell of a way to go out in 2020. So I can't wait to do it with all of you. And until then, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year too. I just hope you all have a wonderful, safe, blessed night. And thank you for watching and supporting AEWSPARK and AEW Dynamite. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video. Adieu.